When we finally got art onto every campus in elementary school in Garland ISD, we wanted to celebrate, and we wanted to do it in a big way. I saw the artwork of artist Dave DeVries online and his Monster Engine project, and how he takes a student's drawing and then recreates that drawing with the skills of a professional artist. I thought it was a great idea to showcase what we're able to do in Garland ISD now that we have art and the possibility of students taking art for 13 consecutive years. I wanted to do a project similar to Mr. DeVries where an elementary student started a drawing of a monster and it was passed on to middle school and high school students, and they did their versions of that same monster, and to climax with a art show that just really showcased all of these monsters together in one place. That's exactly what we did. I reached out to Dave DeVries and asked him to be a part of this, and he was willing to come down, be a part of our show, and even do some presentations for our students on our campuses. Dave, I got to start by saying, explain your face to me.
Yeah, the face. It's just something that always seems to happen when I'm doing like these presentations with the kids. I find that getting paint everywhere is what kids do, and it's a way to kind of connect with them, and it's kind of like a sight gag because I sit there and I go like this and I'm looking at the painting and I've got paint all over my hands, and so that's kind of how that kind of feeds into that.
It happens on accident usually with our teachers anyway. We paint on our clothes, paint on our face. So highlighting that, I think that's a great.
It's the thing is kids don't they get paint everywhere because they're in the moment. And if you're truly in the moment, you're not painting like, watching out for your clothes. You're just in the painting.
So when I reached out to you, first of all, just wanted your blessing for us to be able to do a project like what we did. Yeah. And I don't know if you really had an idea of what you were going to see when you got to the gallery exhibit last night.
When I walked in, I was very impressed and very I don't know, just inspired. The paths they took were wholly their own, but it still had a connection to the kids' original drawing. And it was so much variety, especially with 3 versions, that I walked out of there going, I got to bring some of this into my classroom, so you guys kind of inspired me. If I inspired you, you inspired me.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit, why monsters? Why do you think kids have such a connection to monsters?
Well, for one thing, monsters are many different. There's many different versions of monsters. There's scary monsters and there's funny monsters. And I think what it is that they love being out of control, and monsters are, by what we've seen in movies and TV, are out of control. Either they're violent or they're crazy, and they're funny. So I find that kids fall into 2 camps.
Absolutely. So when we ask students, our art teachers got into the elementary room and said, draw a monster, there's no hesitation. Yeah. The kids just boom, they just go for it. And I think there's even another step in artistically creating a monster, is that I have control over the uncontrollable.
Right.
I have control over things that are bigger than myself. I have control over things that I'm scared of.
Yes.
But now I am creating this.
Yep.
I am in
That's
control.
a great observation. That is a great observation.
So, yeah.
And I think it's spot on.
V-Ball is a monster from Dimension Hydro, and he is really destructive. If somebody gets him really angry, he can break his whole planet and destroy the whole universe if he gets too angry.
When I first saw his drawing, I thought it was rather cute in a way. I thought the backstory was rather interesting, and since the character looked kind of humanoid, I wanted to recreate it. When
I saw the middle school monster, I realized the story of him whenever he went to the underworld dimension and he turned into a monster of some sort, and then he came back to Planet Hydro.
Well, when I saw it, it looked like a monkey, so just the first thing that came in mind. And so I just tried to make something that looked as similar as his, but just a little more updated.
When I saw the high school monster, I also realized the other story when he went to the real world and actually was a monkey dressed in clothes and walked around the world just getting bananas.
Art is the only place in the elementary school where you can disagree with the teacher and say, you're wrong. That's not what this is. This isn't a tree. This is, this is my brother, and his head is here. And, and the thing that happens is the teacher can't argue with it. And that's a big moment for a kid. And it happens at the elementary school level first, and it's very, very important that they get that.
I think it's so important. I taught middle school for almost 11 years before I moved into administration. And at that time, I was getting kids in 6th grade who had no foundation in arts. They didn't have art in elementary school. And one of the things that they had really lost, they'd shut down that creativity, that freedom that they had.
Yes.
There's a creative freedom that elementary kids have that we need to keep, because I mean, we're told what to draw, how to draw it, with what to draw it, and they just, you know, got the paper, put, you know, let their imaginations flow. You know, we don't do that now.
I wanted to highlight the fact that that creativity is key.
Right.
So we did what you did, and we started at elementary school, and we just had kids just draw a monster. No, some were in pencil, some were in marker, some students painted. They just created a monster. There was no stipulation on what kind of monster it was or what it was doing, and it just turned out really great. And what I loved last night was seeing those elementary students see that high school version of their monster, especially the ones that really got it.
You know, a lot of times they just get like a sketch and they say, oh, it's nice, and they put it on the fridge, and it becomes wallpaper, you know. But this is different. This is like saying, you know, this process is important and you are extremely important, because nothing could have been done without your drawing, and everybody's reacting off of what you have in abundance, which is creativity.
Absolutely.
And then it echoes upwards through the grades, and so they feel like validated, because, you know, that high school student would never have done that without me.
Absolutely.